Hey, hey, hey. We're back. And we're going to get our Docker running. Just waiting for it to boot up, it seems. There we go. We're on. Okay, so where we kind of left off, would it be 2 days ago, is we're going to set up an example CRUD. It's a quick review. I'm basically building a kind of like a starter pack for full stack Django, the way I like to do things. Mostly for my own use, but it is going to be open source, or it already technically is, although I wouldn't say it's anywhere near ready. Close to ready, but not quite there. And my goal is to just have a good starting place for a few projects I'm about to kick off, as well as kind of having an example app in it with all the, philosophies and like workflow and patterns and stuff that I like, which, is just good to have in general. But I think also it will mean I don't have to flip context to like a different project to be like, how do I make a signal again? Or how do I do this? Like just having all that stuff in place is really helpful. Yeah, all our stuff's working here. So yeah, what we want to do is kind of continue where we were. So I'm just going to kind of close everything. And we kind of started doing this example list, which we probably just had at /example. Here we go. So we have our lovely list. So yeah, we got the images just working at the end of the last stream. And I just want to build, the simple CRUD here, because that's a pattern that always is going to exist in web development. So that's create, read, update, and delete. Create, obviously, meaning creating something new. Read is kind of what we're doing right now. We're getting a list right now, but also the detail view will be part of the R in CRUD. U meaning update, so you have an existing one, but you want to edit it. And D meaning delete, which we do not need to go into any further. So we have the list. Let's get the detail one working. So for that, let's make something called example detail.html, and we'll kind of grab some stuff from our list. I'm just going to copy everything because it's just easier. And we're just going to actually get rid of everything in here. We'll keep the section, sure, and this will eventually be, placed with something else. Let's kind of work backwards here. We'll get our view for this. So our pages view, we're going to look for our example view. Actually, we should probably rename this example list view. And doing the refactor would have also updated in the URLs in theory, but let's double check. Example list view, yeah, you'll see it right there. Let's just copy this one. So this one's gonna be a little bit different, called example detail view. It's obviously going to be the detail. Now for getting the context, we actually need to get it from, I believe, a kwarg, because actually let's make the URL now so that makes a little more sense. So we'll have example detail. Maybe we'll call this example list. And we'll make this example detail view. And the difference is here, we're going to use either like the ID or the UUID. I like using UUID because if you're just using an ID, it's auto-incrementing. It is going to make it so that someone can easily, just if they know it's example /1, they can go, oh, I wonder if there's one at 2, 3, 4. It also like kind of leaks a bit of information about your database, right? How much data you have. So using a UUID, solves that because they're all like super random. And our example model has a UUID with it because all of our models do. All of our core models do. Okay, so that should let us do that. And let's just see if this even works. So we'll actually go into our backend and find our one instance here. Cool thing, and there should be a UID. So really this would be our URL. Now we might also want to use something like a slug for certain things, but for the example app, that's fine. So it's just going to be /example /there, and it still says example list, but that's just because our template says that. So yep, this is working. So instead of getting a list of all the items, really what we want to get is item, and we're actually going to go item.objects. Actually, there's a better way to do this. It's like get object or 404, which I forget how it works. I think we pass in the class itself, which is example, and then is is it just kwargs after this? Yeah, I think we can just do like UUID equals kwargs UUID, and we'll see if that actually works. We might get a major error here. Doesn't look like it. Let's just try changing this to something that doesn't exist. So I still need to make it a valid UUID, but we can change that and we get the 404 page. So that's kind of what we're expecting. Great. Let's go back. So now we know we have that. And now in our example detail, we can actually use the name of it, right? So we know it's the item, and we can use item.title, I think we called it. So you should actually see that cool thing as expected. We can put the, some of the same info that we have in the card. For example, we have the username and the created at. Let's just, grab this stuff. Because this is really just for demonstrative purposes. So we'll have a nice little paragraph, and we'll have this. And now if we go back, we see created on this. Now, obviously, if we had like an excerpt and stuff, we could do stuff. Oh, I guess an image is something we could use. So maybe actually we'll make the max width on this like a bit smaller. Oh, MX Auto, why are you not? Oh, why is width? That's so weird. Why aren't these, why isn't this centering? Let's find out. We have the section, max width 4XL. Oh, I'm not running, I have to remember to start Tailwind. The Tailwind server will look for changes that it has to generate, because again, Tailwind is, it tree shakes. It doesn't, it's not like Bootstrap where you just have this big CSS file. It's the CSS file generated just for you. So there, now we have this here, which is cool. And what we could kind of do is actually have the image. So I'm going to grab the same image that we had here, but again, only if there's an only if there's an image, we'll have it. And we'll put this maybe right at the very top. We don't care about the href though. Let's just make this a little bit prettier. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't look great, but it works. It's not terrible. And then I think I just wanted to also like kind of try and make this look like a card a bit. I don't care. I don't care. Okay, now the one thing we do need to do is make these things link up. So we have example. This doesn't do anything yet, but if we go to our example list and we find our A tag, which is right here, we could actually use the Django URL builder. So it's a URL and then the name of our URL, which is whatever we called it in here, which is example detail. But we need to also pass in some options here. Specifically, the UUID is going to be equal to item.uuid. I think that's how you do it. But again, that's why we're making this example, so we have a good starter point. And this looks like it'll work. Yeah, we can click. Awesome. So that's wrapped around the image. Now, it might be nice also to, have a button here. So let's just have an A href and take that exact same href that we made. And we'll just say view, because why not? And its class is going to be equal to button, and maybe button primary. Let's see how that looks. That's all right. We can also make this, let's actually wrap this in a MT2 or something. And of course, give this a text right. That should make it so the button's kind of over here. Actually, we could even probably get rid of this and just have a divider. Might look nice. I don't care if it looks nice, but divider. Divider. See, this is one of the annoying things about the autocomplete. I have to go escape, then tab. There we go. Yeah, that looks okay. It looks okay for us. And then maybe we also do a, just to kind of have an example of another button. Let's grab this, and after all this stuff, let's have just something that goes to example list, I think we called it. It doesn't need a UID because it's the whole list, and this will be button primary, let's just say back. And maybe we can also grab that lovely divider that we made over here. And let's just indent everything nicely. And make sure our back button works. Okay, cool. So we have a view button, we have a back button. Beautiful. Okay, the next thing I'd like to do before we dig into making all the other parts of it is I want to find out a way to kind of make this a little more like self-contained, because we kind of have like You know, the views are inside this like page views. Ideally, we kind of have a, you know, not an example app because it's really all part of the content app, but we have some kind of like namespacing so that we can kind of have this pattern repeated nicely. So I think for that content, you know, we have the views. So we're actually going to make a new file called urls.py inside here, inside content. And let's go to our URLs here, and let's actually grab these two as a reference right now. And we'll want to make sure we have these things included. And it should be this whole URL patterns thing wrapped around this. And we'll just, that's fine, we can keep that because we're going to fix that in a minute. Actually, yeah, let's just go from dot, so just import views. Yeah, now these don't exist, so let's actually move those over. So we have this view, these views here, and we'll grab the views that we were actually in before, which should still be open. So let's actually grab these guys, put them here. Now there's some stuff we're gonna have to import. For example, we need our example app. We need our base view. Get object or 404, let's grab that. We might need both of these, so let's just keep it in for now. And then let's remove them from here before we forget. Oh, we already did. Okay. So now we have that there, and in theory, no, not you, Siri. In theory. Where was I trying to go? URLs. Yeah. So these should now click through and everything's good. Now we're going to actually get rid of the, I think we get rid of all of it here. And in this case, we just want this. Because what we're actually going to do in our page URLs is instead of having both of these here, obviously, we're going to do, and I have to remember how to do this, but it'll be path example / and then we want to actually use as an import, include, I think, which, and here we would do content dot URLs, something like that. Let's just even see if this will work. Not totally thrilled with that, but let's see. We still got our example page. Nope. We're probably having an error, so let's pull up Docker and see our running server, our web server. Okay, no module named views. Content, views. Yeah, look, there's a module named views. Is there an init.py here? Let's just do a restart. Maybe it. Restarting the Django server. App content. Oh, wait. Oh, I see. We did do something wrong. Let's open up our other views, our page views. Because how do we, oh wait, sorry, our page URLs is what I meant. From dot import views is actually what we want in this one. And this should auto restart, but sometimes weird things with templates and sometimes like really bad errors don't automatically start the Django server for some reason, but here we go. So far, so good. Okay, cool. So we have that. Let's make sure we can actually go to the view. We can go back. Okay, so it's a little bit better. Yeah, this is fine because again, this is just like a starter point. In the chat, Mr. Derek99, yo, what's up? Not much, you? Just working on my coding skills. Oh, for some reason, Tailwind decided to stop. Oh, because we restarted the web server. So not just the web server, we restarted the container itself. So we lost it. So let's keep that running because otherwise we'll wonder what's going on. Okay, so it's a little bit better now because now we kind of are going to have everything or most of our things here. Now, I'd like to also move the templates here as well. And let's just see what we did here. We had templates, pages, example. So we'll have templates, and we'll have a new folder called example. Oops. Example without the S. And let's see if I can just drag, you know what, it'll be even easier. Delete the example folder and drag this entire example into the templates folder here. And then we'll have to go to our views and make sure that it's not in pages, but instead it's in content /example /example list. And I think that will get everything working. Oh, I feel like, okay, templates, example. Oh, because we still need the oh, I think the way, sorry, I think we don't even need the content. Because I believe Django is going to auto look through all of our folders to find that. Yeah, there we go. And this one's deleted, so we're good there. Okay, we're good. Okay, so this feels a little bit better to me because now, you know, stuff that has to do with example, like we're still gonna have our pages because there's stuff that's not really like specific to a certain model or a feature, as I like to call it. But the example feature, you know, we have our templates kind of within, you know, within the content app. We could take it a step further and actually have like an example folder with all that stuff in it. But that's overkill in my opinion because I just don't think we need that. But if we get far in this and realize, oh, that would be better, we can see it's pretty easy to move stuff around. Okay, so I guess now we should have a form, right? We need a way to create an example. So let's just have like example form.html. And let's go to our views. Let's also go to our URLs for content. And we'll just kind of do this where it's like /edit. We'll go to something, but we should also have one that's just like, you know, /new, something like that. And while we're at it, let's have one for delete, which would also be actually with the URL pattern. Oops. And this will kind of like delete will kind of be like a confirmation, like, hey, are you sure you want to delete this? Now for these views, obviously we have our example list view, we need our example detail view. Let's also make example, we're gonna call it example edit view. And let's actually detail form. Yeah, let's actually call this edit, example edit. It's not just the form, it's gonna be a little bit more than that. And we'll make this example edit. So what I'd like to do is actually use the edit view for both creating a new one and editing an existing one, right? And we're just gonna comment this out. And we need to make sure this says example edit and example create. And maybe we'll actually just call this create, just to kind of have that crud. And then this one would be example update view, which let's just make, oh wait, sorry. Yeah, edit view works. Yeah, we're using edit view, detail view. Okay, cool. Let's just test this out. So we should be able to go to /example /create. And it's saying we have an issue because in our edit one, we're looking for a kwarg of UUID, which may exist, but it might also not. So what we can kind of do is if kwargs.get UUID with a default of none, we would do something. And in that case, it would be, you know, just like we did before. Else, item. I wonder, it might be cool to actually literally make an example with, wait, is that how you do it? Example. Is there stuff we need to pass in here? I think so. Oh, I see why I have an error. We forgot an equal sign. We can have a title of whatever, just to give it thing, but I think that's all we kind of need. And actually we can, for owner, we can set the owner to the request.user. We should, because they're gonna be the one that owns it when it gets created, even if we don't make use of that in the template. Let's see if that solved our issue. Whoa. Actually, that's working. It's because our edit page doesn't do anything. So let's actually grab our detail page. And we'll just kind of have that. Maybe we'll have the same sort of stuff like this. And what we can kind of do is we can actually take the item dot title, which might be blank, and then I believe it's default value. And then we can actually put a new example. I think that's how you do it. So let's refresh this. No, default value is not the right way to do it. I don't think it's just default. Default if blank. It's something like that. Django template default if blank. Is it just default? Default if none. Oh, I guess you can just do default. Default if none is probably like it's literally null. So there we go, new example. And that's just to do the title, of the thing. And we can do something in here where it says, if item dot, and we can actually use the PK, because if it hasn't saved to the database yet, we know that it doesn't exist. So if there is a PK, we can actually say item dot, or we can say, what are we going to do? Editing, item dot title, else creating new example. And maybe we'll use the same thing here. And of course, and if, now this should probably be in something better than this. Let's use this H1 class that we've been using elsewhere, keep it consistent. Now we could make this just a one-liner, which will probably look a little bit cleaner. I haven't done CRUD like this actually in full stack Django in a while, like just this typical sort of thing. And I'm like realizing, man, it's so much easier than making an API and having to build a front end and do all that stuff. Like everything's going to be easier. Okay, so now we have this. Now for editing, in theory, let's test that out. So I can just change this to /edit at the end of the URL. Editing, cool thing. So we're off to the races here. Let's just start with a new one though. Okay. Oops. Wait. Oh, because I already hit back. Okay. What was it? /create. There we go. Okay. So here we need to do a form. Now, honestly, this is where I will be. It's been a bit since I made a form. Like I've said before, I'm not. I've been using a bit of the full stack side of Django just as of recently, since a long time ago. Usually, in the many last years, been just building like Django, using Django as like an API service rather than a full stack app. But yeah, I'm just finding like I'm saving, like I'm so much more productive than building two things. Just build one thing that works well, and I have a project that meets this. Anyways. So I want to do this properly. I'm just going to consult some things. With ChatGPT. Okay, in Django, refresh me the best way to create a form for editing a model. So within here, I know we're going to have like a forms.py. It might already exist. No, it doesn't. Let's make it. And we will see. Okay, so yeah, we already have the model. That's fine. Yeah, I'm just going to copy all this, and it's just easier than flipping back and forth. So from models, we want to obviously import example. We are going to call this example form. And obviously it's going to use example model. Now there's only certain things that we want to be editable, right? In fact, yeah, it's the title and the image. Because the UUID, which, if we look deep into our abstract model as our own model, we're automatically going to have these fields too. But we don't want to let, someone edit those. The created add update, that's going to happen automatically. UUID is automatic, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we have the form. Easy enough. Then in our views, okay, yep. So let's go back to our views here. In the edit view, this is the get, but we also need one for post. We're doing this a little bit differently than ChatGPT is going because they're using the more, I'm using class-based views. I just think they're way better. So we'll have self, request, args, and kwargs. And we don't need to check if it's post. We know it's post already. And yeah, let's make the form equal to, actually we want this either way, right? Let's actually not even worry about the post right now. I'm going to put a pass here for a second because let's actually get the form rendering. Okay, so we're going to have a form and we need to pass in the data of it. Okay, cool. So actually we can, I think we can just go context form equals, we would use example form and actually pass in context item because we've already, you know, set that either to, you know, this initial version or the one that we're actually editing. Okay, cool. Then we want to render our form, but we're going to do that a little bit differently. So let's go to our example edit. And basically under here, we already do this, I think, on, let's say, the login page. Let's import in these two things. So we need, we need to have crispy forms tags and daisy UI filters. And we want to make sure we have our CSFR token. Oh yeah, we need the whole form. So let's just do this one line at a time. So we'll have our form here, close the form. And we will import the form that gets rendered by Django. And let's see. Okay, there we go. Example doesn't have an example object has no attribute get. What does that mean? What does that mean? Example object has no attribute get. Where's that happening? Error title. Did I title an image? What? Okay, I must have done something wrong here. Is it because it doesn't actually exist yet? Let's just go to the edit one and see. We're going to just open this in a new tab. Let's see if this is specific to us creating a new one or not. It's always good to, okay, so same error no matter what. Okay, I did something wrong. Let's consult our friend here. So yeah, CSRR token. We're passing in form as form. Oh, I have to actually, I have to say the instance of the example form. The instance of the model that's going to be used in the example form is that. And I think that'll get us fixed. Wow. I think we forgot to close an H1. We did. Okay. Close that H1. And back here. Okay, cool. So are we still running Tailwind? I think we have the same problem where, you know, our elements aren't being rendered properly. Okay, so there's a type. I mean, this looks right, but let's see what the class of this is supposed to be. We got on the last stream, we had this, and it's just because, so wait, where's the actual input? That's the input for that. Label for block text small. Okay, that part seems fine. It's like checkbox, name image clear. And there's the actual input. Class clearable file input. So what I'm going to do is actually grab this. In fact, I'm just going to do what we did before and grab this whole thing. I'm going to find a better fix for this because this is really annoying. We're going to copy the element. We're going to go, we made this thing called our style guide, which is really just a hack for us to have some HTML so that Tailwind knows, hey, this class exists. So I'm just going to put it just as is. Doesn't really matter. This isn't ever going to be seen by anyone. And now, you know, this looks a little bit better. It's not amazing, but let's just see if this, that's cool. It actually, like, lets you open it. This is fine though. This is fine. because probably we would style this on our own anyways without using a form if we really want it to look good. And with images, we're probably going to introduce like a whole front end flow at some point for cropping the image and stuff, because that's always like a pain. Okay, and you can clear it. All right, so we need a button though. We need to obviously allow this to be saved. So let's just grab our button type submit from our login page and go to our example edit. And basically at the end of the form, we'll just say save. We could get really fancy and kind of, have either create or update, but save kind of just handles both. There, save. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now we can actually get into the saving of it. So in terms of the post, let's go back to ChatGPT. And yeah, we need to actually get an instance of the form. So we're going to say form equals, and we can even do the same thing. I kind of, form equals none. And we're just going to actually make this just a little bit nicer. Oh, wait. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I was trying to edit. Hang on. I wanted to make... Oh, no, I guess this is fine. We're only doing it one spot. Okay. So let's just say form equals, and here we'd use our example form. And we need to have... Yep. Okay, so it's going to kind of be the same logic, and we might find a way to refactor this. So we can say if, I'm going to kind of copy this just as a starting point. And okay, yeah, we do. Oh, wait, you know what? This is different than I thought. So what we're actually going to do is take our thing. We need to pass in these sorts of things. And this is where we'll just call this item. And we essentially want to have this same logic here. It'll just be a little bit different. So if quargs UUID, we're going to have our item equal to the, getting that one. And then item, otherwise we do this. And then we pass in our item for the form. And then we have to go if form.isValid. We do a form.save. And yeah, we can redirect basically the same kind of idea. We can redirect to a retrieve or a, example detail. And here we would just do UUID equals, how do we actually get the UUID from there? Because in our case, it might not exist. Does form.save return anything? Commit equals true. It returns self.instance. Okay. So we can just go item equals form.save, which, will be the updated version of it, meaning we know we're going to have a UUID on that now. Okay. Otherwise, if there's a problem, we need to just kind of do what we did here. And in this case, we would actually pass in context as the form itself and the item. So let's actually make this kind of the same. And then I'm going to make this more beautiful because this could be better. So that's our initial context, but we want to make sure that context form equals form in either case, and context, what's the other one? Item equals our item. Let's see if this works. So I'm just going to refresh this. Let's make a cool thing. This is not going to work. I'll be surprised if it does. Oh my gosh, it worked. Okay, cool. Let's make sure. Yeah, we're working. I added some exclamation marks. Let's just add a whole bunch to make sure. Cool. And yeah, in the chat, we got some things. Hello, bro. I'm from India. Hey, next gen gamer. Nice to have you on here. I feel like you've been on before. We've chatted. And Ash, how's life, bro? Sorry for the delay. I was very, very stuck in the code there trying to get something to work. Life is good. Can't complain too much, and having some fun right now. I've got a lot of my annoying work out of the way this morning. I'm in Toronto, so EST time. It's now mid-afternoon. Got a lot of the annoying stuff out of the way, so I got to now spend at least an hour continuing on this. How are you? How are you guys? Okay, so this is working. Let's just make sure we can create a new one too. No idea if we can. Oops, should be example/create. Test 1, 2, 3. I'm not gonna worry about the image yet. Let's just see if test 1, 2, 3 will work. It does work. Look at that. And if we go back to our list view, we'll actually see that there. We didn't have an image, so let's actually try editing this one. We don't have links to this, so we have to edit the URL. Let's see if images actually work right in this form without anything too exciting. Doesn't look like it. I wonder why. Let's go to the back end. Oh, you know what? I think we have to put multi. Yeah, I know why. Okay, so this form is a little different than our login form because it's actually a we're allowing like multi content. It's not just text and stuff. Yeah, multi-part form data. So we need this. That's not a Django specific thing. That's just the way browsers and forms and everything work with post. We need to have that. So let's test that out again. This is the one. Oh my gosh, I hate, man, AI stuff. It's just everywhere. Just everywhere. Okay, so let's try changing it to this and clicking save. And look, I can tell it was going to work because it took a little bit longer that time because it was actually uploading that. We have a question in the chat from Ashmit. How to get out of tutorial hell? It is super easy. Here's my advice. Go build something. You know, I agree. If you're just watching tutorials, lectures, content, and trying to be like, I need to memorize this. I need to feel confident before I can start. Like, you'll never actually learn anything. The thing we need to do is start to make something. And it can be something super simple. It can be something even ambitious that you don't, feel bad if you can't finish it. Just something to get you started. And really with software, it's like one step at a time, hey, I want to accomplish this task. That will lead me to this one. And it's a lot of little wins, some big ones here and there. But you really just have to build stuff. Like, you're not going to remember how to do something. You're not going to feel confident to do something unless, you've been actually making it and not just following line for line something. It's the only way to learn. And then, you'll feel more confident, but you'll also feel like an imposter. I've been doing this for a long time, and I still feel like I sometimes have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm Googling stupid things that I'm like, I've done this a million times. I'm looking back on old code. I'm, getting mad at my old code, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, that is what we need to do. We need to just make stuff. So you could do it in Python and Django. You could do it in, Dart and Flutter and, anything in between. If you have any specific questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'm going to be around for a little while still. And we have another question. Please share your... Okay, we have Mad123. Hey, hope you're doing well. Please share your views on web dev and data analysis profiles, which is suitable for freshers. I'm not sure of the second part of this question, data analysis profiles. I don't really know how to answer that. If you could explain what you mean by that a little bit more. But my views on web dev is not going away anytime soon. It doesn't matter how many AI things we get thrown at us. In fact, in some way, the more the merrier, because there's just a lot of stuff that's being sent out by AI is just like workable sometimes, and it's helpful. It's a good tool, but you kind of need to still know what you're doing. I think for web dev, it's super important to know both the back end and the front end. On the back end side of things, either start with something like server side rendered like we're doing now, Python and Django, but probably just start with like Python and Flask, because it'll give you an idea of everything. Or you could go like the Node.js Express route. My only qualm against Node and Express, I feel like there's not really a good opinionated framework. So especially if you're a learner, not having like that, this is the pattern and how you should do it. Like Django is very opinionated. It's like do it this way, and it's a lot less work. Instead of fighting with the way, just do it the way it says. Even Flask is Flask is a little bit opinionated, but it's also very simple. So yeah, start with that. Learn that stuff, or start with the front end. But definitely start with just like HTML and JavaScript and CSS and stuff. Then you can dive into something like React. Or SvelteKit. I really like Svelte these days. That's my go-to for that world. Yeah, that's kind of what I would say. But it's really like just building stuff. Like my previous answer to the other to Ashmit, was really like just make stuff, because that's how you learn. Like make it, and don't be hard on yourself, and don't worry about it being crappy. I've been doing this for like, I've been coding in some sense for 30 years, but like professionally for 20 years. And, even if I look back on something from a year ago, it's like, it's garbage. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I wrote that, garbage. You're always going to get better and learn. But there's never a better time to learn right now. Like there's so many good resources out there that you can really, when I started learning to code, it was like literally, I guess there was some internet information out there, but a lot of it was honestly like textbooks. Like you buy something from the company that made like that programming language, or like Riley textbooks or whatever, and like that's how you kind of like, that was like the main resource. So it's a lot easier now, as I don't have to go into. Okay, let me knock out a little bit more here. So we should probably have an edit button on these things. Oh yeah, let's actually refactor this. So we have this super get context data, which is actually our own one. We're going to make our own method here. Let me see how I want to do this. We could use get context data and do that. And what we can do is actually put context equals. We'll do the super get context data. We can't do self anymore. And in here, okay, wait, we get context. Is that all that this has? I guess self. Oh yeah, I can get it from the kwargs. So let's make something called item UUID equals kwarg. We want to do self.kwargs. This is what I love about class-based views, because you can get mostly everything within the self parameter. And here would be UUID, and it would be equal to none. Okay, so we have that, and we can say if item UUID, we can essentially do what we're doing here. Our context of our item will be this, else, and we just have to actually, oh wait, we already have this saved, else, and we just basically want this line here. So if there's a UID, and then similarly, we need to now put in the self namespace there, self. Okay, so that kind of solves that, which means I can get rid of this. And in fact, let's actually make this say item in this case. And we'll just make sure at the end we have context of item equaling to item. And let's not forget, we need to return our context, because we can write all this, and if we don't actually return anything, nothing will work. Okay, so now our form, in this case, I believe we can just go context form is going to be equal to essentially this, except instead of passing context item in here, although that would work, we'll just pass item in. Okay, which means our get should work fine. Let's test to make sure that's true before we actually, touch the post stuff. And then this might be confusing, so I'll walk people through it. Looks like it's working. Cool. Awesome. Now for this post, so basically like we're already getting the context data. So that's getting it from here, which is also getting the super one of all this stuff here. I love this pattern. It's nice. We don't need to have this anymore because we already have it. And in this case, our form, when it's posting, will be still the example form. We won't need this anymore because that's already going to be in the context. And we need to override. I'm going to put it here. Just feels a little bit more, clean, even though we don't actually need it for this part. We only need it if it gets through there. Well, yeah, I think that'll work. Let's find out. So let's, we're editing test 1, 2, 3. Let's make it 4, 5, 6 and save. And there we go. Item where, so we do have an issue here. Item equals example form, instance equals item. We don't have that. So we could just get that from context, right? Because context is going to have the item in it. However, actually it might not. Oh yes, it'll be just a new one if that's the case. So I think this will actually work. Let's just do a, I think it just worked. It resubmitted the post into the redirect. So let's just make this say test 1 now. And yeah, we're working. Now this might have broken our create one, right? Because we're reusing the same stuff. Super new test. And just to make sure everything's good, let's grab an image as well. We're in business. This is clean. I actually really like this. So this is where like the heavy lifting's done to build the form and get the actual object or the empty new starting point. And this is cool because if we wanted a default value for the form, we could actually set one here, which is cool. So all that's good. Now one thing that's missing is authentication and stuff, right? Like we shouldn't let someone who's not the owner do this. So basically, in this case, we want to check if item dot owner dot, I can just use ID in this case, does not equal item dot owner dot, or sorry, now we want to use self dot request dot user dot ID. We want to do something like throw an exception or whatever. Let's just raise an exception right now that says permission denied. Oh, wait, sorry. This actually is not where we want to do this because this would mean no one else could see it. It's only when we're actually editing. Oh, wait, this is the edit. Yeah. So yeah, we don't want someone to be able to even come to this page if they're not the owner of it. So let's just open this. I am the owner, so I should be fine. But if I open this incognito, oops, or just a new browser or logged out, we get this permission denied error, which this is fine. Like we could obviously make it cleaner and nicer, but really someone who's trying to do this, we have sort of a problem. We could also just do, I think we can, do a redirect here. I'm not sure. Let's try just returning a redirect that would go to just the detail version of this. Example detail, and we'll use UID equals item.UID. So if I try and edit this now, yeah, I thought it might, this is expecting to be turning, yeah, I wonder how we can, yeah, okay, I know how we could do this. So let's go back to our raising of an exception. And we can actually do this in our, we could have like a try around here. Accept exception and do our return here. And in this case, we would use, I mean, we can just bring, maybe we just bring people back to the example list and not worry about bringing them to that one because whatever. So let's see if that works. So now I try to go here and it redirects me as, as we start planned. I think that's good enough for now. But we also need to solve this in the, actually this, yeah, no, this is fine because this uses the same thing. So basically if someone tries to, submit a form and isn't the owner, we will have that issue too. Okay, cool. It's not ironclad, but it's good enough. We could probably make it better at some point, but I want to keep moving here. I'd like to also have our, some buttons here to edit things. So for instance, on the view page, maybe in the top right of the example detail screen, we could have, and we'll just do something where we could have a, let's have a is owner flag. So if owner is owner, then we'll have some kind of like edit button here, and let's put that in. This will be an ahref equals whatever, and we'll just say edit. Now, isOwner does not exist, but we can easily put that in. We can just do it in our get context data. Context isOwner. Oh, this isn't where we want to do it though. We want to do it on the detail view. So we'll go context isOwner is equal to, and this is why I kind of like, I think we're just going to call this item here. And then at the very end, have our context item equal item. And we can just say item.owner.id is equal to request.user.id. So now we have our isOwner flag. And for this, we want to go to a URL. And I believe it's just called example edit. And for here, we would do UID equals item.uuid. Let's see if that works. So we have our edit button. Okay, let's make that look prettier. So let's have a little div here. This will kind of be like our actions bar. And of course, there might be other actions like sharing and liking and whatever. But for now, yeah, we'll just get us a class of flex. We'll do justify end. And we can even give it a space x of 2 just in case other things show up in here. And then for our class on this, we're using Daisy UI, so we can actually do button, and we can do like something like button accent or something, so it doesn't look exactly the same. And maybe for this button small, is it button SM? Cool. Actually, button outline. We're going crazy here on the classes. Oh, outline. Okay, now the only thing missing is I believe we want to have some margin on the bottom, or just padding on the bottom will work. PB 3 or something. There. 2. There. And let's see, that goes to the edit page. Awesome. Okay, similarly, I'm going to grab this. I'm actually going to grab the whole thing. Oh, I want to test one thing. Is this going to throw an error if the user's not logged in at all? And it doesn't. Yay. So we're good on that. Now for our, oops, I didn't mean to click that. I meant to click back to the list, which actually we can click this button here. We're almost done our CRUD. This is awesome. So I'm copying this. We're going to go to our list screen, example list. And in a similar spot above the grid, let's go. In this case, we're not going to check if isOwner. We're going to say is, we have this thing called authenticated user, and that's just part of our base. In our base view, you'll see authenticated user. Let's make sure I did it. Because obviously we don't really want to have a create button if there is no authenticated user. We could, and maybe we'll do that in a minute, but let's, getting ahead of myself here. And this one, it would be example, let's go to our URLs. We called it example create. And for create, we don't actually pass a UID, obviously. And let's just call it create. So now we have this lovely create button here. And in fact, let's make this look a little bit better. Why not? Class equals flex, justify between. And we're going to just grab this guy here. And also the is authenticated part of this. It's going to look messy for a second. But yep, that should do it. And then let's get our indentation a little bit better here. I have like the VS Code extension for Django that like auto forms my templates, but I need to find a better one because it literally makes my computer go crazy when I'm running it. Do you use Jinja or DTL? I'm just using Django template language currently. I think that's what GTL stands for. Yeah, I'm just using the built-in one. Okay, now we have a create button. We also want to make sure that our items are center so that the create button kind of lines up with that. And we should probably have a little bit of PB of 2 on this too. So it's a little space here. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, so create new guy. Let's make sure everything works. Awesome. Go back to our list. We got 2 with the same image. That's fine. Great. The only thing missing is delete. Do you think we should add delete? Let's do it. I feel like this is a good thing to put on our detail page or our edit page. So like we'll have this, and then we will maybe do a similar thing that we did on our list page in terms of, I'm just going to copy this as partially as reference, partly as not. So we're going to grab everything that was inside this H1 and replace it with this H1. We will be authenticated here, so we don't need that. And instead, this is going to say delete, and this is going to be button small, button danger, or button outline, I think danger is what it's called in Daisy UI. And let's do delete. So let's see if we actually get, oh, we don't have a thing. Oh, you know why? Because we didn't put it. Example, delete. And this looks like one of those, hey, it needs, oh, okay. And, oh, we forgot one thing. We also need to, oh, where are we? Example, delete. We need to pass in the UUID equals item.uuid. So now we have delete. Okay, it is not danger. I think it's maybe error. Bootstrap is danger. I like that. I think danger is cool. Maybe it's destructive. I don't think so. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, we're gonna go. Oh, button error. It is. So we have our delete. Now this is just gonna go to this because we actually haven't set up that view yet. So let's go here and we'll just grab our detail view. It's going to be kind of similar. And this will be our delete view. Example delete is the file we want to use. We don't really care about this. And we need to obviously make that template. So where would that be? Templates. Let's just grab our detail view. And the idea is this is going to be like a confirmation page. So we can actually make this say like delete, delete example. And we don't need this right here. And we can just do something like, are you sure you want to delete this? And we'll keep that button because we'll use something like that. Maybe we'll actually have the p tag kind of saying like, what do they usually say? It's like, you cannot undo this action. Something like that. Doesn't really matter what it says. And this instead will be, actually this will be a button. And it'll actually be of type submit. Type equals submit. And we'll get rid of that. And this will also be button error. And we'll make it say delete. We'll have to put this inside a form because we're going to do this as a form submission. Just to make it, you know, you can't just like hit this URL and have it deleted. Let's just see if that works though. So clicking delete should just bring me to this page if I did this right. I did not. Oh, because we probably missed the URL. Yep. Example delete view. So if I click delete, oh, I think we're just restarting. Yeah. Are you sure you want to delete new guy? You cannot undo this action. Sure. Now we'll go to our edit page. And in this case, we need a method of post. Let's also let's include this just so, oops, so our stuff's kind of consistent, even though this is not really a form. And we need our CSFR, oops, our token. Awesome. I just feel like we need some kind of like PY2 or something. Just delete. And then this will do a post on this, which doesn't do anything because we didn't actually set that up in our view. So we definitely need a def post, self request, args, quargs. And we will be redirecting to the list view after, which we can just grab this right here, assuming everything went right. And we don't really need the context data, but let's just keep that pattern anyways. We should also, we need the item UID equals this. Oh, yeah, that's kind of what we want, but really we wanted this. Actually, I'm going to grab this whole thing. And for this case, we're just going to do context UUID because that will be part of this. We're going to throw an exception. And in this case, we can, just redirect them to the list. We could also, when we add messages and stuff, we can have like a, hey, permission denied. So let's return this redirect here. Now, that's if they're not the owner. You got to be the owner to delete it. That's pretty obvious. And what do we actually want to do here? So then we just go item.delete. I think that's it. Okay. Oh, we still have the form. Yeah, this should work. Okay, let's be very careful here. I want to delete new guy. So I go view, edit, delete. Are you sure I want to delete new guy? Delete, and we're back, and it's gone. Boom. That's how you do it. Cool. Okay. I gotta go head somewhere, so I'm gonna commit my code here. There's actually a bunch of stuff in here I haven't committed, but let's just put this as our like example crud. That's like the main thing we did. And for those who are curious, this is live on the internet. GitHub.com/TylerSavery/ this is called Jovian. Django and Jupyter moons combined, I guess. You can try it out. GitHub.com/TylerSavery/Jovian. That's Jovian with a DJOVIAN. I'll put it in the chat on the stream right now for those watching right now. Otherwise, you can find it by typing this in. There it is. All right, cool. So yeah, this is done. I might refactor a few things. I kind of maybe want to, although the templates are in its own namespace, I think that's fine. There's some things I want to refactor. Like I think the permission stuff, like I don't really want to be like, checking. We have this line of code twice, item.ownerID, even though it works. We might be able to make it a little bit better, but anyways, pretty much there. CRUD's here. Right, we can create, we can read, we can update, and we can delete, and we have a list and a retrieve. The only thing we don't actually have is pagination, so maybe I'll do that next because that's important, and that we'll probably use HTMX for so that it can kind of be like an instant or an infinite scroll with a bit of JavaScript without actually having to like write too much JavaScript because HTMX is cool for that. Yeah, thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next one.